Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another level. Welcome back to another level of the Over Episode Podcast.
Yeah.
It's Over Leveled Podcast. Thank you guys for being here. Yeah, I guess just before we go into everything real fast, I guess we could just introduce ourselves. I'm Gavin.
Oh, and I'm DJ.
Yeah, and together we are co-hosts.
Yes. The co-hosts of what? What are we?
I don't know. Of? The Over Episode Podcast, obviously.
Yes, the Over Episode Podcast. We're in the first episode.
Yeah. So, before we hop into everything, in this episode today, just to kind of give everyone a preview, today me and DJ will both be giving our personal top 10 Final Fantasy video games. So that's going to be fun. I'm excited to do that. We got a quick news thing to do as well, but before we hop into there, DJ.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Gavin?
I'm doing all right. Hold on one second. You were kind of. I think my headphones started bugging out. I'm doing. You know, man. I'm doing okay.
Hell yeah.
I'm just gonna dox ourselves real fast. It rained all day today here in Austin, Texas.
It did, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I, if you've been listening to the show, I work on, I clean pools for a living. Mm-hmm. So I am outside the entire day.
Oh no.
So today was a rough one. Today I actually had one of my easiest pools that I normally do taken off my list to make room for a new pool. And they're like, this customer is just opening their account with us. Mm-hmm. So my visit today was our company's first visit over there to their pool to, do the service on. And I knew that it was coming. They had emailed me saying, hey, we're going to take off this pool and we're going to put this pool on. So I was like, okay, cool. Just praying, like, let this be an easy pool. Let this be an easy pool. I was there for like 2 hours today, man.
Jeez.
Comparatively, my last pool that I was at was like a 15-minute to 20-minute pool. So my Tuesdays just got a lot harder. The rain did not help too, man. It was rough.
Damn you, rain. I
know. Oh, quick story too, since we're talking about me being sad about the world. So my wife and I this past Saturday, we usually have something planned, like we'll go visit some family or we'll have some people come visit us or something. Mm-hmm. But this past Saturday was incredibly lazy. It was just like we just sat home and we watched like 16 episodes of Modern Family. Mm-hmm. we just got nothing done. Like I think we might have folded some laundry and we had to feed our daughter, of course. But
right,
basically,
that's fine. Lazy days happen.
Yeah, of course. And with my job, like I said, just being outside, sometimes it's, especially in Texas, it's so hot some days. Right. Those days where it's just a lazy day, I really appreciate those,
Yeah, definitely.
So, especially now that I also have a kid and stuff, it's like those days that I only have to focus on just like the one thing, just her,
right.
A lot more easy. Anyways,
definitely.
This particular Saturday, we didn't get anything done really. We didn't decide to go out anywhere. And Nicole says, "Hey, I'm extremely hungry." And I don't think either of us really ate anything. I think we just made some snacks for Rosie all day long. Mm-hmm. And we just like didn't have like an actual meal. And by this time it was maybe 4 o'clock maybe. It was like 4:30. She's like, "Hey, I'm really hungry. I really want some pizza." I'm like, ooh, okay, pizza, all right, let's get some pizza. So I call up the boys. I call up the man himself, the Papa.
Of course.
I call up the Papa and I say, "Hey, Papa, I need you to help me out. I need like a coupon or something." And Papa says, "Gavin, I got you, man.
Oh, thank you, Papa.
You're in the Papa's arms. You're in his warm embrace. I got you."
Yes.
So I'm looking at their website and I see that they have a deal for a large. It's like an extra large stuffed crust pepperoni pizza for like $14 or something. I don't even know if it was even a deal that I had found. It was just kind of, a special on their website or whatever. $14, So I did that. And with delivery and everything, I got it delivered. I got the, I tipped them and all that. Overall, right. It was a little over like $21 or something. And so I'm like, okay, at least I'm getting some pizza. I haven't eaten anything all day. I'm really, really hungry. I know my wife is hungry. She's pregnant too, so it's like, man, we got to eat. We got to eat something.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for this pizza. But it says it's going to be anywhere between like a 38 and 48 minute wait. And I'm like, that's fine. Whatever. It's Saturday it's Saturday afternoon. I'm sure a lot of people are ordering pizzas. That's fine. So I do the whole process online. I put in my email, my phone number, and all this stuff. And they even said, like, hey, we'll like send you updates with your pizza and stuff. I never got any updates saying, hey, it's on its way, or it just came out of the oven, because usually they'll send stuff like that, like it's currently in the oven baking right now or something. I never got any notifications on my phone from Gmail or even like text message. So I'm waiting. It's over an hour at this point, like maybe an hour and 10 minutes. And Nicole is like, hey, when did you order that pizza? And I'm like, that's a good question. I look back and, I'm checking through my emails and stuff. Yeah. And I see that I got a confirmation email from Papa John's. So I clicked on that, basically just confirming that I bought my pizza. And so I clicked track my order. And then it says that it was already delivered. And I was like, huh. And we were in the living room this whole time. We would have heard like a knock at the door or something like that. And so I'm like, huh, it says it's delivered. And then I walk outside and I look down at my door and there's no pizza.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, this must be some sort of mistake. And so I look at the email again and it says it's delivered. And not only does it say it's delivered, there's an image attached of the pizza at my doorstep with my doormat in the photo too. Oh, no. So the only logical thing that could have happened was somebody stole my pizza off my porch.
Fuck.
Oh, did I lose you?
No, I heard you. Just the fact that happened.
DJ, I think I lost
you. Wait, what?
You.
Did you? Oh, come on.
I think you.
Hello?
You muted yourself.
Yeah, I don't know how I did that, but oops. But I was just saying, like, God damn, that sucks about pizza getting stolen.
Yeah, so it got stolen. Anyway, so the story continues from here. I order the pizza. Well, I don't order another pizza because why the fuck would I spend another like $20-something on a pizza? This pizza came to my home. Nobody knocked on my door. Nobody sent me any like notifying thing saying, hey, it's here or whatever. So I'm like kind of frustrated. And I call up the Papa and I'm like, hey, Papa.
Hey, Papa, what's going on?
Yeah, what's going on, Papa? And Papa basically tells me, hey, we can either refund you right now or we can just send you another one. And I'm like, well, I'm so hungry, Papa.
Papa, come on.
Papa, Daddy needs to eat. You know this. So Papa, he's like, you know what? I'll send you another one. So I'm like, okay, great. Thank you. About an hour and a half goes by, close to 2 hours later. Basically, by the time I finally got my pizza back, it had been 3 hours since I initially ordered it. And not only did I receive it 3 hours later, but whenever I opened up that za, it was cheese only.
Aw, man.
I feel embarrassed to like make the motions with my body that I want to make right now. Because I'm recording myself here. This is face cam. YouTube people, you're watching me. I was so fucking upset.
I bet, yeah.
I was so angry with Papa John's. Like to the point where I was like, damn, I'm never ordering Papa John's again.
Oh, no.
I was mad, dude. And like, not even that it's necessarily... I mean, they should have just... The delivery guy, I think they delivered it through DoorDash. So I guess that's not Papa John's fault that the DoorDash guy just straight up did not even knock on my door. But thanks Papa John's for sending me another pizza. But could it not have been the pizza that I ordered?
Yeah. What kind of pizza did you order originally?
It was just It was stuffed crust pepperoni.
Okay.
And it was stuffed crust, but it was just cheese. Anyways, that's my Papa John's story. Fuck Papa John's. I'm sorry. I mean, I love Papa John's. I don't know.
But they really dropped the ball.
I know there was the controversy with the Papa, but I feel like also since he left, Papa John's has just gone downhill as far as like their quality. I don't know. Anyways, welcome to our RPG and JRPG podcast.
Welcome back to that was our pizza segment of the RPG podcast.
Our Papa John's rant.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get into the news thing, TJ, I want to hear a little bit about Shadow Hearts.
Uh-huh.
Tell me about Shadow. Yeah, I mean, just like you finished it, right?
Yeah, I finished it.
And you're on to playing Breath of the Wild?
Yes, I've been playing it a little bit.
So, I guess just give like a brief review / I guess just kind of the cliff notes of what someone who doesn't know what Shadow Hearts from the Brave New World is. Just kind of give us your experience. I'm curious to hear your
Shadow
Hearts.
Shadow Hearts from the New World is the third installment, or technically fourth installment of the Shadow Hearts series. I've been told that like the first two games are connected. Like you have to play the first one and then play the second one. Like the second one's a direct sequel to the story of the first one, but the third game is completely its own separate story. I mean, there's some small things that apparently like from the previous game, but for the most part, Shadow Hearts from the New World is its own separate story. So you're fine with that.
Nice.
It's pretty much just like, standard JRPG. You play as Johnny Garland. Takes place in 1940s.
Wait, what's his name?
Johnny Garland.
Chaos?
Wait, holy shit, is that his? Yeah, that's his name. Yes,
Garland, bro. Nice.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. It takes place in the 40s in New York, and you're like a detective who's, of course, your parents are dead. So you just go around solving mysteries, and then the game
classic
starts,
dead parents.
Yeah, of course, classic. Game starts with like you taking on this mission that pretty much just like goes on through the whole game. You meet your cast of crew members. You got your 2 Indian tribe members. You have your Brazilian ninja dude. You have your talking cat who wants to be a famous movie star.
Of course.
You have your vampire girl, and you have your Hispanic musician dude. Standard JRPG stuff.
Nice.
Pretty much just going around, and there's like this the main antagonist of the game who kind of sucks ass because she's like a silent antagonist. Like she never talks ever.
A silent
throughout
antagonist?
the entire game. Yeah. So think of like this sense in terms of like how Zelda never talks, right?
Sure.
Fuck.
Wait. No, Link. Yeah, I was
Link
like, wait, no, Zelda
talks.
Yeah.
Zelda talks. She has dialogue.
Yeah.
Link. Imagine, because Link's the main character, he never talks throughout the entire game. Imagine him, but he's the antagonist.
How are you supposed to like hate him?
Because
her, I guess.
Well, because she killed the family members of the main female character of the game, and she's trying to get revenge for that.
Wait, but in the Zelda games, there's never an explanation for Link not talking. It's always just kind of, I mean, other than in Breath of the Wild or whatever, it's always just kind of implied that he's listening and giving his input, at some point. But is there an explanation?
Nope.
No, it's just a silent antagonist?
Pretty much.
That's interesting. Do you from your experience, do you think it works?
I mean, yes and no. No, in the sense of like this is supposed to be like, and you hear about her throughout the entire game. Like you see her all the fucking time. So it's like, and plus she has some huge relevance that you learn later on in the game. But kind of. It's fine because like there's other antagonists that you meet that are a little bit more interesting that sort of like balance her out a little bit, but for the most part it's kind of like all right, I guess. But for me, the thing that I loved most about this game was the combat, which a lot of people that I've noticed from the Shadow Hearts community, because I posted on Reddit that I beat the game, like they say the same thing, that in terms of gameplay, Shadow Hearts 3 is the best one, but in terms of story, they think Shadow Hearts 3 is the worst one. That's how they put it. Which, I mean, like, the story was fine. It wasn't anything like amazing, or I didn't think it was terrible. It's like some people think the story is straight up fucking terrible, but I think it was fine. But like for me, like the gameplay was the thing that I enjoyed the most. You know, standard JRPG where, you know, turn-based, all that stuff. But what's interesting is that, like, instead of just pressing the attack button and you attack, once you press the attack button, you have this circle that goes around, and you have to try to like hit the different lines to be able to make that attack. So, like, let's say there's 3 different sections. You have to hit those 3 sections in order to attack 3 times. If you miss the first one, you completely miss your turn. But if you only hit, like, 2 of them, you only attack 2 times. And you can also do things like double attacks where you can attack and also do magic or heal and stuff like that. And I really like, too, how each character has, like, their own sort of side quests and how they gain new abilities. Like, Johnny has to do different little missions in New York in order to get new skills. The movie Cat Star that I was talking about, like, she does this thing. Her name's Mao. She's like a drunk karate master. She wants to be like a movie star. So she has like her own production team called Paramount Pictures. And like what she does is she has to hire famous cat movie stars to participate in her like action kung fu movie. And they're supposed to be nods to like famous famous movies that are like kung fu. So like how the final person you fight is supposed to be like a reference to Bruce Lee, and the third person you fight is Mr. Miyagi pretty much, but as a cat. And like each character has their own funny little side quest thing. Like it's a funny game. Like it clearly is trying to be like goofy and stuff like that. Whereas the first 2 games are more serious, sort of horror kind of things. So this one has a completely different tone to the other games. But yeah, no, it's a fun game. I love it, and the music's great, the combat's great, story is meh.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the combat actually sounds a lot like, I was just trying to think of the name while you were talking about it. It's called The Legend of Dragoon on the PlayStation 1.
Oh yeah.
There is like sort of a timing system with like whenever you attack an enemy, I think you can press it a few times to like get a couple of hits in or something, or it's just like I guess like one powerful hit. I can't remember how it works exactly, but kind of like that. I think Final Fantasy VIII kind of had a similar system with like you can time a hit properly and get like extra damage or something. Well, cool, man.
But sometimes that shit pisses me off because I'm just like, I'm going to use this really fucking cool hit, and then I just completely miss, and then I just ruin my turn. I'm like, all right, cool. Fuck this game.
How long did it take you to beat this one?
60 hours.
Oh,
primarily only because, remember, I told you this, that like I spent like an extra 10, 15 hours trying to get the good ending of the game, because if you play the game normally, you get the bad ending because it has something to do with the story. That's the normal ending. But I was trying to, because what you have to do is the main female character named Shania, she pretty much has something similar to Yuna in Final Fantasy X, where, you know, Yuna goes to the different shrines and has to get the summon and stuff like that.
Right.
Shania has fusions to where like she goes to different temples to fight the guardian spirit, and then like she can transform into some sort of human hybrid of that guardian spirit. And in the main story, you get 3 of them, and in order to get the good ending, what you're supposed to do is you have to max out the stats of those 3 fusions, and then you unlock the 4th fusion, which is sort of like an optional thing. You don't have to do it. You unlock that one, and then you go fight that thing, and then bam, you have that fusion now, the ultimate one. And the guy that I was looking at told me you just need to get that, and then bam, you get the good ending once you beat the game normally. Apparently that was not the case, because I beat the game and then I got the bad ending. I was like, wait, what the fuck? That's what the guy told me. And then I looked into it more, and it's like, oh no, you're supposed to also then max out the stats of the ultimate summon. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, man. So a lot of grinding.
Yeah.
Would you say it was wasted?
Yes and no. I mean, it was worth it in the sense that like it made the final boss probably easier than it should have been. It was still hard, but I feel like if I didn't do all that grinding, it would have been fucking ridiculous.
You could say you were over-leveled.
Yeah. Oh, in a podcast. Yes. But yeah, no. I mean, the grinding, 10, 15 hours was not worth it. I could have played a lot more Zelda in that time. Which I gotta say, this Breath of the Wild is my first actual Zelda game that I'm playing.
That's right.
And I'm loving it. I mean, it's kind of difficult, but it's a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, there's especially in that very beginning portion when you're on the plateau and you come like across the big rock monster. You get your first taste of like what people mean by saying it's like the Dark Souls of Zelda games.
Dude, there was a point where like, because one of the first quests is you have to go find Impa, and on the way there, there's like the Guardians and stuff like that, and the Guardians would fucking kill me in one hit, and then like anytime it would sort of, we put you back in the game and stuff like that. It immediately puts me right next to a Guardian, and the Guardian would just like shoot me.
My God.
For a good 10 minutes, it was just a loop of you died by the Guardian, start again. You died by the Guardian, start again. I'm like, fuck.
Wow. Dang, dude.
Yeah, I know. But thankfully, I eventually got out of that because I learned that, you can actually block the Guardian's laser beam. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then even still with the block, it's gonna be a good portion into the game before you're fully equipped to actually take one down.
Yeah.
But
other than that, good game.
Yeah. Once you do take one down, it feels amazing.
I bet.
Well, right on, man. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying that game. That's one of my favorite games of all time.
Nice.
So, we really only have, I guess, one. You could say we have 1.5 piece of news. Because it's kind of two things, but it's mostly one thing.
Right.
But yeah, man, let's just get into this.
Let's do it.
First of all, I want to just say I fucking called it. The episode came out the day after the Super Smash Brothers reveal happened, but we recorded it the night before.
Yeah, we did.
You can hear DJ straight up saying like, "Oh, the Smash reveal is tomorrow."
Yep.
And I'm like, "Oh shit!" And then we said who it was gonna be. DJ said it was gonna be Goku, right?
Yeah, I did say that. Yep.
Yeah, Goku. And then I said, the boy.
You said the
boy himself.
The boy.
Sora.
Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
That's right, man. And what's funny is the Kingdom Hearts community has been in like a drought of news for a really long time. Yeah. And I feel like it's kind of funny that this is the only piece of news that we have this week. I mean, there's been like some releases. I think like Lost Judgment is getting some reviews and people are kind of mixed on that. But really the only like big thing that happened was Sora from Kingdom Hearts was announced as the final character for Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
He's finally here.
I know. Oh man, and what's funny too, like they had mentioned, hey, whenever we sent out that, like we had that website open where people could request a character for the game, they had mentioned that Sora was the most requested video game character out of anyone, and I'm like, that's cool for me to hear because I remember voting for Sora.
Oh wow! Okay.
I think I probably got on somebody else's computer too and voted for him like more than once. You know.
Oh,
yeah. This was something that I was really looking forward to, and Super Smash Brothers really isn't it's not a game that I don't really meet up with a lot of people to play multiplayer games in general. So it's not a game that I am playing all the time. I used to play Brawl on the Wii almost every day, like for a long time.
Brawl was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I do have Ultimate. So even though I haven't played a whole lot of it, I don't even think I've unlocked all of the characters that you can get that aren't DLC characters. And I have not purchased any DLC characters, but I will. I think I will at least buy Sora. I'll shell out the $6 or whatever.
Hell yeah. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, how did you feel about this? But before I guess you answer that, what were you about to say?
No, I was just gonna say, like seeing Sora in Smash like made me want to, because I don't have the game, I don't have Smash Ultimate, but seeing this actually kind of makes me want to buy Smash Ultimate, play at least the main story, because I'm the same way. Like, I enjoy Smash, it's a great game, but I'm not like super into it where I would want to go out of my way to always be online and stuff like that.
Sure, yeah.
But after seeing this, with like now the fact that like, oh, all the characters are here now, every single one. Sora was the final one. Kind of makes me want to at least buy the game, beat the main campaign, and then just buy the few characters that I want, including Sora.
Yeah.
But with the trailer, because I actually did watch it live.
Me too, man. Dude, I sat in a customer's backyard for the entire 40-minute thing, just sitting there on my phone, just fucking freaking out.
Nice. Yeah, I remember because I literally woke up like 5 or 10 minutes right before it was about to start. I was watching Young Yaz.
Dude, I was watching the same one.
Oh, tight. Yeah, I was
dude,
watching
we were there together. We were there
together.
Spirit,
we didn't even know it. But yeah, I saw it, and then like when the trailer happened, I legitimately had no idea who the fuck it was gonna be, and they gave off so much Dark Souls vibes like that.
I know. I was thinking it was gonna be Dark Souls.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, as cool as that would be, that wouldn't make any sense. There's no like super iconic Dark Souls character really, other than the sun guy.
Yeah,
but
him or like I guess the I guess what would it be, the person that you see on the box art of Dark Souls 3 or Dark Souls 1 or something.
That's true, but like Dark Souls would have been too niche-ish, I feel, for Nintendo, especially for a fighting game. But and then it happened, Mario fucking put his hand in the fire, whipped out something, and then it was a fucking Keyblade, and literally my jaw dropped. I was like, what the fuck?
Mario can wield a Keyblade, confirmed. Mario can wield the Keyblade.
Kingdom Hearts 4 Nintendo Worlds, which that'd be tight.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, I saw the Keyblade, literally my jaw dropped. I was like, oh shit! That's awesome. And then the music played, and I was like, oh, this is nice.
Dude,
nice. And then right after that, I immediately just had to listen to Simple and Clean and Sanctuary.
Yes. Seriously, man, this, like, the song in the trailer, man, as soon as it once I saw the Keyblade, I was like, it's fucking Sora. Let's go.
Yep.
And then it shot into the keyhole, and then your boy comes floating into the ring. Also, just the fact that they brought it like full circle back to, that original trailer,
that was really cool that they did that.
And then you could just see everyone over there, and even before it was giving Dark Souls vibes, it was just giving fucking ominous.
It was
like creepy. It was like, what are you doing, Nintendo?
I know.
And then Sora comes, and he turns out to be the light that everyone needs and all this stuff, pulling out all these cliche Kingdom Hearts tropes just in this one trailer alone.
Fuck yeah.
And the music, man, it was emotional for me, not gonna lie, because like I think whenever Super Smash Brothers like for the Wii U and 3DS came out, I remember that's whenever they had this whole campaign where you could request, what character do you want? And I remember at that point in time too, I think Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance was out, or it was coming out, and I think I was at the most hyped moment of my Kingdom Hearts fandom that I had ever been. And so, and the one thing that I wanted so much around that time was just, Sora, please be in Smash. And then dude, the gameplay demonstration of him, he's fucking broken, dude. He is like, he can never die.
Right. Like,
other than him being light enough to be like knocked out, like up or something. Like, homeboy can just jump an infinity amount of times and do the fucking Sonic. What is it? Is it sliding dash or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
One of those, Kingdom Hearts moves, and then he can just get himself back onto the map. It's so crazy, man. And all of his animations, man, all of the costumes. I'm so glad that they made his like old classic like Steamboat Willie costume an option as well. And oh man, I was listening to the Ansem Report podcast. Shout out to those guys. They had mentioned they had said one thing that I completely agree with, because I feel like I felt this same sort of sentiment whenever it happened. But it's not just the fact that you can finally play as Sora from Kingdom Hearts in this game. I think it's more so the fact that Kingdom Hearts fans have now been validated in a way that makes it true that Kingdom Hearts is not just a niche series.
Right.
It's not like just this small group of people like play this like child game. The main character made it into Super Smash Brothers, and I felt like it was in a way validating for a lot of Kingdom Hearts fans. So this is and the fact that it was the final character and the whole trailer was so emotional and cinematic in the way that it all happened, like coming full circle, and how it really did feel like it was something special for us Kingdom Hearts fans,
Fuck yeah, dude.
So I don't know, man. like I had said, I'm not playing Super Smash Brothers all the time, but whenever he drops, and he's coming out in like a week or something.
Oh yeah.
Or a little over a week. I'm definitely gonna pop open my Switch and play some Sora and Smash.
Oh yeah.
The other piece of news that came with this though, is just the Kingdom Hearts series via cloud streaming will be available on Nintendo Switch.
Hell yeah.
So I mean, this is cool. But at the same time, I know Switch cloud streaming has kind of had, I don't know, not very positive feedback.
Okay.
I think realistically, like all of these games just need to be put on to the console,
Right, yeah.
I don't see any reason why they couldn't, especially with games like Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance. Like those games were originally like portable, like one was a PSP game, one was a 3DS game. I feel like they belong to be played on a system like the Nintendo Switch, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm excited to see how that turns out.
Definitely.
It's not something that I'm gonna buy just because I own them all on every single console that they've ever been released on, except for PC. I have not bought the PC ports.
Will you?
But yeah. Oh, and then they also announced, I mean, this was just a big blowout of Kingdom Hearts news, pretty much, just during this one stream, because right afterwards, Square Enix and the Kingdom Hearts Twitter were like, hey, here is a teaser trailer for the Kingdom Hearts 20th anniversary that is going to be happening next year.
Oh, shit. I didn't know about that. Okay.
Yeah, they didn't show off anything, like, new, so to say. They basically just said, hey, here's a trailer, and we are launching a website. Like, we are celebrating the Kingdom Hearts 20th anniversary because next year, 2022, will be the 20th anniversary of Kingdom Hearts 1. So, yeah, it's gonna be big, man. I'm hyped out of my fucking mind to like see what they're gonna do.
Definitely, dude.
I think a lot of people are thinking they're gonna announce Kingdom Hearts 4. I don't think that they're gonna do that.
Yeah, no.
If anything, they're gonna. I think they'll show off a new game. I don't think it's gonna be 4 though. But I'm excited for it. So, anyways, yeah, that's been the news side of things.
Well, actually, there's one small thing that I want to mention.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So this is just like a small, I guess, little update. Not a huge news thing, but in terms of Final Fantasy 16, apparently last week, not too long after Tokyo Game Show, we got a, I guess, development update that pretty much they're like very close to finishing the game. Like they already finished all of the character designs and pretty much making the main scenario of the game. All they have to do left is just finish some of the side quests and touch up some of the little finer details. But they're getting close.
Nice, man.
Yeah,
that's good because if the whole story's already pretty much done, I'm assuming they've already developed this whole world. Now you just got to throw in some like NPCs to like give you quests and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they're doing. They're just adding the finer details.
Nice, man. I'm so excited for it, man.
Definitely.
Like it's I know we've talked about it so many times, and we'll talk about it more the closer we get to it.
Goddamn right we do.
but holy shit, man. I don't care how different it is from the quote unquote like spirit of Final Fantasy or like that classic Final Fantasy. I am so excited to play it.
Definitely. Yeah, like I was when I saw that, I was just rewatching the Final Fantasy 16 trailer, and also for some reason made me want to actually one thing that I did too, I kind of spoiled myself and watched the ending of Final Fantasy 7 Remake Interlude. And
I watched it too, actually.
Oh, did you? Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Not alone. Yeah, just playing that watching that made me just so excited for the Part 2 remake and wanting to replay the remake game because God, that was in terms of the gameplay, that was a lot of fun.
You know, I watched the trailer for just the PS5 version because there is that little extra scene at the end. It's not incredible. I've already played and beaten that game. I've almost 100%ed it. I just haven't like played it through like hard mode or whatever. But I know the game well.
Yeah.
By watching that trailer, I really didn't necessarily feel like I was changing anything, I guess, about my experience. If anything, it's just kind of like watching the DLC cutscene that you didn't buy,
Right, yeah.
Anyways, I have not watched anything about Yuffie. I'm still keeping all of that.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that either, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to keep all of that fresh for me whenever I'm able to do that. But I did watch that final trailer, or final like little teaser at the end of that game that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. Should we just go ahead and jump into our top 10, or should we knock out the question of the week real fast?
Probably best to do the question of the week now so we don't forget it.
Like last
True
time. True. Okay, so question of the week this week was asked by you, DJ.
Oh, yeah, it was.
So thank you, man, for doing
problem.
that. Question of the week was, what is your favorite game that you have played this year? It does not have to be a game that came out this year, just a game that you've played. Hypernova came in with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which was funny because
because he put shit on it.
Yeah, whenever he commented this in, our episode hadn't gone up yet, and I just got done talking about like I cannot fucking stand Assassin's Creed,
Well, you know what, Gavin, you just don't get it.
I just don't understand, man.
Yeah.
I mean I've heard good things about that game. I mean, it's an Ubisoft game, so I really can't necessarily have my hopes up too high for pretty much anything that Ubisoft puts out, just because of their whole business model and just a lot of the recycling of a lot of things. But I mean, hey, I don't mean to say that to put down Hypernova. I mean, I'm glad that he really enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, if it's something that I come into possession of, I will probably give it a try. I think Brandon's played a little bit of it, and I think he likes it. So,
okay.
Well, cool. Okay, and then Cujo. Shout out to Cujo. Go watch him on Twitch at Trainer Cujo. Anyways, Cujo came in with Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice was really, really good. After beating it, it definitely became one of my all-time favorite games. Also, Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse and the Persona 2 Duology was really good. Nice. So he came in with a couple of picks.
Yeah.
You've not played Sekiro, am I right?
I played a little bit of it, but I really need to play more of it and just beat the game because
definitely
I know it's very good and I need to play it.
Yeah, I think I've maybe played the first like 2 hours or so of that game. Like I said, with like all of these like Souls-like games, I've put in a a chunk of time, but I have not beaten any of them. So I feel like even though I've only played for 2 hours, it was a hard 2 hours. It was rough.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah, no. The bit that I played, I was like, fuck.
yeah. I feel like I know what that game is about, you know, and I do want to eventually play that one. So I'm glad to hear that you really liked it, Cujo. You also played Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse. I've definitely been, you know, catching your streams of that too. So very, very nice to hear that you enjoyed that one. And the Persona 2 duology, because there's like I don't know if you knew this, DJ.
Nope.
But after Persona 1, they came out with like I think Persona 1 and Persona 2 are connected story-wise, but then I also think Persona 2 has like 2 versions of the game that are connected.
Lovely.
I don't know, man. The whole Persona series is a whole beast of its own, you know.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, after I beat Shin Megami Tensei 4, I'm gonna play Apocalypse. So.
Oh yeah, real quick, how's that been going?
It's been good, man. I don't know if you've hopped into any of the streams while I was live.
No, I'm usually at work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always so random for me whenever I can do it. It's always just whenever either Rosie is asleep.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It just has to be whenever Rosie's asleep.
That's fine. I mean.
Yeah. So like napping in like the middle of the day or after 8 o'clock at night, you know. So,
okay.
So yeah,
you could just
I'm
put
really
like on that for your Switch schedule or for your Twitch schedule, just whenever my child goes
whenever
to sleep.
my daughter's asleep and I'm not working.
Right.
And I don't have to like hang out with my wife. So yeah, Persona 4 or not Persona, Shin Megami Tensei 4. It's going really well.
Awesome.
I recently got to a point in the story where things are kind of kicking up. But you know, I've played it for a couple of sessions. I'm leveling up my my demons and stuff. I'm really enjoying the demon mechanic of that game and just the conversation aspect. Like it's like Pokemon where you're catching monsters, but instead of like that RNG based like luck of like, oh, is it gonna like, you know, am I gonna catch it? It's more like you have to try a few times so that you understand the demon's personality and so that you can enter a conversation with it and pick the right dialogue options so that the demon like is like, okay, yeah, fuck it, I'll join you.
All right, shit.
Yeah, so it's been really fun, especially with having save states on the emulator.
Oh, nice.
Makes life a shit ton more easier.
Hell yeah.
More easier. So yeah, that's that. One Pintones came in saying Horizon Zero Dawn for me. Should have played it sooner.
100% agreed.
Absolutely. You should have played it sooner, bro.
Yeah.
That's a good game, man. I'm excited to One Pintones. Whenever Forbidden West comes out, man. I'm excited to hear your thoughts. I hope you give us your thoughts.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So, Hailfront, Nick, he's one of the co-hosts over at Loud Thumbs, the Loud Thumbs podcast. Shout out to those guys. Hailfront goes. His pick was Ghost of Tsushima, plus the DLC, of course. Just an amazing game and world that I can't wait for more to come out to build upon the already amazing things we've seen. Have you played Ghost of Tsushima yet?
No, but I've heard of a lot of amazing things about it.
I feel like Ghost of Tsushima is going to be my same experience with Horizon Zero Dawn, where it came out, and then all I've heard is like 10 out of 10 amazing things about it, and then like 2 years later, I'll finally like borrow the game from someone and then realize, holy fuck, why did I not get this game whenever it came out?
Yeah, that sounds about me with a lot of newer games.
Because that's how, because you had Horizon Zero Dawn and you had it for a while, and
and I beat it earlier this year for the first time.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I borrowed for if you didn't follow that, I borrowed DJ's copy of the game like 2 years after the game came out, and I beat it before him. Anyways, yeah, I'm excited to play Ghost of Tsushima. I'll definitely, whenever I do get that game, it's probably going to be the PS5 version, so that I can experience that, all the DLC and just kind of the best version of that game. Tyler Rim says, one of my favorite games that I've played this year, or at least finished this year, was Yakuza Like a Dragon. An incredible change of the Yakuza series that were honestly action beat-em-up RPGs anyways. Love the whole cast, and it's crazy how they made a pretty competent turn-based RPG and 6 months after revealing that turn-based combat was an April Fool's joke. I remember when they said that. I guess I didn't catch the fact that it was an April Fool's joke. I think I just took them for their word. Like, oh, cool, Yakuza's going to be turn-based now. Nice.
That's funny.
But I know me and you have talked about Yakuza for a little bit. This is just a series that I really, really, really do want to get into. And I've started Zero a long time ago. It's just kind of... It is a time sink because it's a lot of cutscenes. It's a lot of story at you all at once before things start opening up. So I just kind of find the time to play that. But yeah, Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Nice.
That's a good one, man. I'm excited to play that.
Definitely.
Well, cool. That was question of the week. DJ, do you have a favorite game so far that you have played this year?
Yes, but I'm going to do something a little different. So the reason I asked this question, well, I mean, sort of, just because this has been something that's been on my mind solely because on my personal channel, I have top 10 videos for the year where I talk about my favorite games that I played within the year of 2020, not necessarily games that came out within the year of 2020, just beat for the first time. And so I plan to do that later this year, the same thing, but for the year of 2021. So that's why I asked that question, because it's like already on my mind. So I'm going to go ahead and just give you my number 10. I'm not going to say...
Okay, yeah, number 10. That's a good teaser.
Yeah. Number 10 for me of my favorite game that I've played within this year is Zoid's Legacy for the Game Boy Advanced. Yes.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun. It's just like... I think I've talked about this before on the show. It's a turn-based game about the Zoids characters where you can play. It has its own original story, but you play as like all the different cast members from the anime of Zoids and stuff like that, and also from like the games too, like from just like the games of Zoids. They have like all the different cast members. It's turn-based, own original story. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot, but definitely have some games that I enjoyed a lot more than that.
Cool. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for the teaser.
No problem. What about you? What was your...
So I would say probably... I don't think I even gave much thought to this during the week, but when I'm thinking about it now, I think I have to just say Nier Replicant.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that was a... Because, that was my first time even experiencing Nier, the first one. And it was just really good, man. I loved every single song in that game, man.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Just like characters like Emil and I'm blanking on homegirl. What's her name?
Fuck yeah, I had the same thing. Ray.
Is it Kaine?
Kaine.
Yeah, I didn't even have to. I opened up a tab to try to look it up, and then it just came to me. But yeah, Emil and Kaine, I think, are just so good. And what made it even worth my while was just the fact that I worked hard to get every ending in that game. Ultimately took me a little over 60 hours of playtime. And I got it discounted too, so I could definitely say I for sure got my money's worth.
Fuck yeah.
If you're someone who does the dollar per hour type thing, I mean, I absolutely got my money's worth with that. And it is the story, the all of the themes, even like, it's not the most graphically impressive game in the world, but I was very impressed with the visuals. Some things about it made it, kind of feel like it was still a 2010 era game.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I mean, the combat itself was from what I understand, a huge step up from like the Nier game that came out back
thank
then.
God. Thank God.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh dude, it plays like Automata.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's a good game, man. If you haven't, I know you've already played through the game once, but I definitely
I definitely want to play
again.
the newer one, especially
Yeah.
since I didn't know at the time that like the American version of the PS3 is different from the Japanese version in terms of like you're the dad and you're trying to save your daughter versus it's your sister.
Brother.
Yeah.
And that's really the only difference. There's no huge like story difference going on other than just that itself.
Yeah. Okay.
There is some new story content to this game.
Yeah, because I know like they add some stuff that sort of supposed to connect to Automata, right?
Yes, but also whenever the game originally came out in the 2000s, or 2010s, I can't remember when the first game came out. Anyways, there was a basically an official light novella that came out in Japan only that told basically a deleted scene from this game. And they turned it into a novella that you could only read in Japan.
Wow.
They turned that into an entire mission in this game. And it's really good.
Neat.
That's all I'll say about that. I think it's definitely, even if you've played the first game, back when it came out on the PS3 and Xbox 360 or whatever, it's worth playing. I highly recommend it. Easily my favorite game that I've played this year. So, yeah, that's gonna do it for question of the week.
Fuck yeah.
Let's go ahead and just jump into the main course.
The meat. Give me the meat.
The meat. So today, me and DJ will be bringing to you and these are not necessarily, it's not like of the main series, like 1 through 15, like how we would necessarily rank these games. These are more so just of our opinions of the Final Fantasy video games that we have played. This is how we rank our top 10 favorite Final Fantasy games. So, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first? What's up?
Do you want to do like one person says the whole list and the next person says the whole list, or do you want to do like...
So it'll be I say number 10, you say number 10,
okay.
I say number 9. But do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So one thing that I want to say real quick is like we actually did some top 10 videos on Videoverse a while back in June 7th of 2020. That's when mine was. Yours was a little sooner than that. And so I want to, real quick, I'm just going to say my original list real quick. So originally, my number 10 was Final Fantasy 13. And now, after playing a few more Final Fantasy games, my number 10 is Final Fantasy 5.
Wait, you said it was 13, now it's 5?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay. Nice. I'm excited to see if 13 is still in the list.
Well, you have to find out.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. Okay, cool. Well, why I guess would you say Final Fantasy 5? Well, I guess because you just recently... No, you played 5 before a while ago.
Yeah, a while ago. It's been a long time.
What was Final Fantasy 5 originally in your list?
Yeah.
Like in the first video?
Yes.
So what...
it was higher originally in the first video.
Okay. What, I guess without spoiling your list right now, what made you want to push it to the back of the list?
I was just thinking more about some of the other Final Fantasy games, thinking like, actually those games I actually enjoyed more overall. Like, plus with 5-2, it's been a long time since I've 5-2. It's been a long time since I played that one, but from what I remember, I did enjoy it. The story was nice and the gameplay was fun, but like, I don't know. It's just from off the top of my head. A lot of these other games, I just simply enjoyed the story, the characters, and the gameplay a little bit more.
Nice. Yeah, I share that same sentiment with a couple of my picks on here as well. So,
okay.
Okay, cool. Well, now that you bring it up, video verse, because I'm trying to think too what would be I don't know if I'll go ahead and say, like where everything was versus where it is now. But anyways, well, cool, man. Yeah, Final Fantasy V. I've heard great things about that still. I think, because I still have not played Final Fantasy V. I think my first time playing that game will be whenever the Pixel remaster comes out.
Tight.
And then there's already the modding community for the Pixel remasters is so good. So I can't wait to like see all the mods that people do for 5.
Sweet.
Okay, so before I hop into my 10, there are, in fact, 3 games that I want to basically give an honorable mention to.
Okay.
Those 3 games, and also just to reiterate too, all of these games on our list, like for DJ did not say that Final Fantasy V is the worst Final Fantasy game.
No, not at all.
This is just of his 10 favorites. So with these 3 honorable mentions, I do really, really, really like these games. It's just there are 10 more that just kind of beat them to it.
Right.
The first honorable mention I will say is Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn.
Oh, okay.
And not necessarily just A Realm Reborn, just Final Fantasy XIV as a whole. And that's because I really enjoy playing this game, but I have not finished any of it. I have not finished the main story campaign. I have not played any of the expansions. Just of what I've played of, the Realm Reborn story, I think it's really fun. This is a game that I will absolutely finish somewhere down the line. Yeah. I definitely want to stream this game.
Fuck yeah, dude.
The next one is Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, okay.
This is a... Sorry, what was that?
And I was like, oh, wow, that one didn't make the list.
Yeah, I know. Well, you'll have to see what beat it. But I will say I do really like this game. I played Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core before Final Fantasy VII. So a lot of the plot twist sort of stuff that happens in 7 was already kind of revealed to me in Crisis Core. I thought the story was intriguing, and I know a lot of people don't like every character in this game, but I thoroughly enjoyed every character in this game. I really liked all of the combat in this game. Is made by the same team that made Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep as well. So like,
oh, wow.
Visually, it looks really good, especially for a PSP game. Anyways, it's good, but not cutting the list just yet.
Right.
And then my third honorable mention is Theatrhythm Final Fantasy Curtain Call. This was number 10 on my video that I made for my top 10. So my honorable mentions aren't really in any order. That was what I said wasn't 13, 12, 11. These are just they would be number 10.
Right.
But Final Fantasy Theatrhythm definitely gets an honorable mention because I like this whole game simply is just the music of Final Fantasy, the game. And as a big music guy myself, like whenever it comes to video games, like because for me sometimes even music in a game will beat the story for me in some aspects.
Oh, wow.
Like I'll play a game that has shitty combat, shitty story, but if it's got good music, bro, I'm there.
Ooh, yes.
So this is there's not really a big story to this game. There's kind of like a little bit of a story, but not much. But this includes so many songs, all of the best songs, man. I'm sure there's some songs that are not here that are in other games, but for the most part, you're playing a rhythm game that is just the music for Final Fantasy. It's really good. Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
And okay, so those are my honorable mentions. At number 10 for me, and I'm going to go ahead and share the same sentiment that DJ had said with Final Fantasy V. My number 10 is the first Final Fantasy game.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I put this really high on my list whenever I made the video, and I went on talking about how this was my first Final Fantasy game that I ever played. All of my feelings about the game, I still feel. I think it's a fantastic game. I think I was listening to a Twitch stream fairly recently, and I think it was actually Sean from he's also a member of the Ansem Report podcast that I'm in, and he came in and watched one of my streams recently and was talking to me. But I heard him say, he was talking about how the first Dragon Quest game and the first Final Fantasy game are objectively bad games. Like they're just bad. Like there's no way that you can convince them that these are good games. These are just objectively bad, whatever. Sure, they were fine at the time, blah, 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 but they're objectively bad games now. And I'm like, man, maybe he was just talking about the NES game. At least the NES game compared to the other games, it's not like it's completely unplayable, but there are definitely better versions of it.
Oh, of course.
Anyways, I love Final Fantasy 1. Kingdom Hearts got me into Final Fantasy. I'm one of those kind of people. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I was little when I played these games,
Yeah, exactly.
So, I thought that this was a series to where you could only understand it if you played all of them, how they, based on their numbered titles, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, well, of course, I'll just start with Final Fantasy 1 because that's the smart thing to do. Not that that's a not smart thing to do, but you don't have to do it that way. And
mandatory.
I'm very glad that I played this game. I think it still holds up, at least all of the modern remakes and ports that we've gotten of this game. I think it still holds up, and I think it's a solid Final Fantasy experience. So yeah, that's my number 10.
Fuck yeah, dude. All right, well then, now for my Jesus, where did I put it? There you go. Okay. So originally my number 9 was Final Fantasy Type 0, but now my number 9 is Final Fantasy 13. Yes. I guess the reason why, just off the top of my head, is that to be honest, when I used to be sort of that person on the bandwagon of just Final Fantasy 13 sucks, blah 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 blah, but after playing it on the show with Cole on Videoverse, I actually had a pretty fun time with the game. I mean, yeah, sure, there's some issues, but I actually enjoyed it for the most part. The combat I enjoyed more than Final Fantasy V. The song Blinded by Light is probably honestly my favorite battle theme of the entire Final Fantasy franchise.
So good.
Yeah, it's very good, and that's just the regular battle theme. What the fuck? Right. The game looks pretty. Even for PS3, it looks pretty good. Which I was thinking about that too. Just so we've gotten obviously a shit ton of remasters of Final Fantasy X, and we also finally got a remaster of Final Fantasy 12 for the PS4. Yeah. Do you think potentially we could get for the PS5 we could get a remaster of Final Fantasy 13?
I think it's gonna be. I think if they do it, it's gonna be the 13 trilogy. I think it's gonna happen. Square Enix, ever since the early 2000s, whenever we got a new president taking over around Final Fantasy X, and that time his whole thing was we have all of these expensive character models that we made. Why are we not using them again? Why aren't we making sequels and stuff?
Yeah.
So that's why 10-2 came out. That's why we have sequels to 12 and 13 and all that. I really doubt that they're just going to leave 13 hanging, especially since they made a whole fucking trilogy of these games.
Yeah. And it's about to be 12 years old later this year.
Ooh, that's true.
Yeah, the game's been out for that long.
I wonder, because I know companies like to do this whole round number kind of thing. So, what if they do a 13-year anniversary?
Ooh, that would be cool.
Because I'm thinking it'd probably be 15-year, but I'm also kind of surprised they didn't do it for the 10-year. But now I'm thinking 13-year. Dude.
Yeah, that makes sense. That'd be cool.
Hit the blunt, be like,
fuck. But yeah, Final Fantasy 13 is my number 9. I played a little bit of 13-2, and for what I played, I enjoyed that game a little bit more, but I haven't played enough to be I know a lot about the game and stuff like that, and I have not touched Lightning Returns at all.
Yeah.
But I own all of them.
All in all, what?
I own all of them is what I was saying.
Oh, you own all of them. I thought you said all in all.
No.
Yeah, I have not. I actually just bought Lightning Returns yesterday.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I'm thinking about playing that soon, but in regards to Final Fantasy 13-2, that was really close to reaching my honorable mentions.
Oh, wow.
Didn't
make it, damn it.
I know, didn't make it, but I did play 13-2, and I did like it, but not an honorable mention.
Okay.
So my number 9 is Final Fantasy 4.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I know this is a big one for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say blasphemy. That's fine.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I know this game's gonna appear higher up on your list. I just know it. Mm-hmm. But 4 for me. This, you got to remember too, though. I played this game for the first time at the end of 2020. So this was I played the PSP version, which is a great version. I think the Super Nintendo version is fine. I think the 3D remake for like Steam and 3D or Nintendo DS and all that, I think those are good versions. The PSP version is more so that original game, just with some updated sprites. It's got some cool effects. It's got that reorchestrated music, and it's same. It's that 2D sprite. They have some like retranslated text to make the story fit a little bit better. They have some extra dungeons and all that. It's a good experience. I recommend this version. That said, though, I mean, this is from my perspective, this really was, I think, the first good story-driven Final Fantasy game. Like 1, 2, and 3 all had stories of their own, and they weren't all necessarily bad stories, but this one kind of came at it with a cinematic approach, kind of proving at the time that video games could be just as exciting as film, you know?
Yeah.
So I appreciate all of that about that. However, as someone who's very like story first, the story in this game is incredibly simplistic.
It is, yes. It is very I agree with that, yeah.
Not that it's... now, simplistic doesn't mean bad.
Yep.
I like the plot twists, even though by simplistic, I mean I saw them coming. But I don't think that they're like bad twists, you know? Yeah. I think the story was well told. And... you know, I'm a fan of that classic Final Fantasy, you know, turn-based combat system. I do enjoy it. I think it's a very fun game. It's obviously better than Final Fantasy 1. I think most people can agree on that. So yeah, even, you know, this is not my favorite Final Fantasy game. I know for a lot of people that is blasphemy. But I did enjoy it. It's sticking at number 9 for now.
That's fine.
Oh, but
don't make bad mistakes.
I just like kicked the microphone into my mouth. I guess I would also say too, and this is another thing I'm doing different about my list. My list that I included in my video that I made included games that I had not beaten. So number 9 on my video was Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is great. I just have not beaten the game, so I'm not going to put it in my top 10.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. Cool. Well, then moving on to me, we're on the number 8. So originally, my number 8 was Final Fantasy V. It used to be that high on my list. But now, after playing some more Final Fantasy games, we have a new boy. Introducing Final Fantasy VIII at number 8.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Final Fantasy VIII was another game that I beat earlier this year for the first time, and I enjoyed it. Actually really liked the story. I mean, yeah, Squall. A lot of people fucking talk about how Cloud is emo and shit like that, but clearly they haven't played Final Fantasy VII. But when it comes to being emo, Squall is fucking emo.
Absolutely. And I love it.
But yeah, I enjoyed, because I mean, I played it for the first time back on Videoverse 2 with Brandon, and we just played the first disc, and at the time I didn't know what the fuck was going on, stuff like that. Didn't really pay too much attention, but now, again, after playing it again, things went a lot smoother. I knew what was going on, and I had a better understanding of how to play the game, because like the gameplay in 8 is a little bit different from the previous 7 games in terms of like, you know, how you use magic and different things like that. And also, probably for me, the worst thing about Final Fantasy VIII is how you get new weapons, because in order to get new weapons, you have to like find these magazines that are scattered around the world, and they're not super just easy to find. So you could just go through the whole game never finding any of these magazines and just having like the basic weapons.
Yeah.
Like throughout the entire game, it's like that kind of sucks ass. That's like my main criticism with that game. But other than that, I think the story for the most part was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. The characters were cool and neat. They seem pretty basic in comparison. Like the characters, they seem pretty basic in comparison to like Final Fantasy VII, which had a more diverse cast. But I enjoyed 8. It was good.
Nice.
Had a lot more cutscenes too. Like I did not realize.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Definitely. Yeah. That's a dialogue heavy game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, cool. Yeah. My number 8, and I know this is gonna be blasphemy.
Uh-oh.
My number 8 is gonna be Final Fantasy VI.
Oh, whoa,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in my video, both Final Fantasy IV and Final Fantasy VI, at the time that I had made that, I didn't put either of those in my list at all because I had not played them yet. But now I have played both of them. I played Final Fantasy VI for the first time in January of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
My initial number 8 was originally Final Fantasy 15. So now 8 is being taken up by Final Fantasy 6, and I think really I'm just gonna kind of share a lot of the same sentiments of Final Fantasy 4, other than the fact that I enjoyed this story a lot more. Recently, in our last podcast, whenever we talked about games that we couldn't get into, Tylerum said that he couldn't get into Final Fantasy VII because it had been overhyped to him his entire life, and he played it for the first time very recently, and he was just, the hype was too much. That's kind of how I felt about 7 and 6.
Yeah.
6, and I also I feel like I kind of shot myself in the foot as well, because the visuals were a little weird for me because I played the PC version of the game. And I know everyone is like, don't play the PC version. But of course, you know, any version of Final Fantasy VI is a good version because it's Final Fantasy VI, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I enjoyed this game a whole lot. I thought it was a lot better than 1 and 4. Yeah, I mean, this is a great game. It's got great music. I'm scared to say my next one, because if Final Fantasy 4 and 6 are 9 and 8, man, whatever. 6 is number 8.
Stick
DJ,
to your guns. Stick to your guns.
Yeah, DJ, what's your number 7?
So originally my number 7 was Final Fantasy X. But now my number 7 is, you guessed it, Final Fantasy VI. Yeah, it's one higher. But cool. I pretty much have the same sentiments as you. Not like the fact that it was overhyped. I mean, it was overhyped, but like that didn't ruin my enjoyment of it personally. But I do agree with you. Like, even though I love 4, I can admit that it's not the best Final Fantasy game objectively. I think the story of 6 definitely is better than 4. For a fact, and to me it's better than 8 and 13 and what was my number 5. I think the story overall is a lot better. The combat was fine, from what I remember, because again, this was another game that I played a long time ago. So like pretty much Final Fantasy 1 through 6 I played in preparation for Final Fantasy 15, before Final Fantasy 15 even came out. So that's how long ago it's been since I played these games. Right. But from what I remember, because plus the sprite work is really beautiful too. Like, I love the sprite work in 6.
Sure,
it's really nice, yeah. The music is great. The characters are great. The fact that there's so many of them is cool. And they're all pretty different too is really nice. I love that in games. Like, because sometimes it sucks ass in games because again, back to when I talked about Zoid's Legacy, in that game, you get a shit ton of characters from the anime, like more than 20 or something like that. Like, it's ridiculous. But there's really no reason to have that many characters because there's no gameplay difference with them. It's just whoever you like. But with 6, you know, all these characters have their own sort of like movesets and stuff like that, and they have their own side quests. And it's cool how like there's even optional unlockable characters, which I fucking love that's an option. And it made me hope that like, oh, maybe with 15 being an open world game, maybe you could do that too. Maybe it would be like some hidden unlockable characters. Like, that'd be fucking tight. But no.
The expectations.
Yeah, no. But I mean, those are some of the things that I really enjoyed about the game. Again, it's been a very long time, but from what I can remember, and also Kefka, he's a solid villain.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, from what I can remember, it was a good game, so I put it at number 7.
Yeah, Final Fantasy, what you were saying about with all of the characters too, like, there is a lot of characters. There definitely is a bunch of characters in 6. But I appreciate the fact that they didn't make it, one, way too overwhelming, and two, like, almost all of the characters are like good characters, you know, other than maybe like 1 or 2 where it's like, why are you here? But a game like Chrono Cross that I was telling you about, there's like there's a shit ton of characters. There's like over like 40 or something. I don't know. There's like a lot of characters. I can't remember. Anyways, good on you, Final Fantasy 6, for having a solid cast of characters.
Fuck yeah.
Okay. Also, I can't remember if I said this earlier. I think I misspoke. I think I said that Crisis Core was not in my list in my last video, but I did take it out of my list. I took it out of my original video because my original number 7 was Crisis Core. Okay. And now it's an honorable mention. But my number 7 now that will beat the OG Final Fantasy. It beats Final Fantasy 4. It beats Final Fantasy 6. Oh, no. You guessed it. Oh, no. It's Final Fantasy 13.
Oh! Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And this is another game that I beat this game before I beat Final Fantasy 4 and 6, but I beat it within the past like 3 years. I initially played this game for the first time when it came out, and I had it on the PlayStation 3. And I got pretty far into it. I probably got to like chapter, I don't know, 10 or something. And one of the bosses just got too hard for me at the time, and I gave up, and I never finished it back then. So a few years ago, I decided to start all over from the very beginning. I had the PC version. I got that 4K monitor. I put those graphics mods on there, bro. Oh, man, I was experiencing these graphics. Yummy. And that's one of the... Okay, visually, this is a very pretty game. Say what you want about Final Fantasy 13 as a whole. Visually, very pleasing. Yeah. I really liked all of the FMVs. I like all the character models in these games. Like how you were saying with Blinded by Light. Beautiful soundtrack. This game went like full like symphony mode and just put on this beautiful orchestrated soundtrack. 12 also went that route. But, 13, man, I love the soundtrack to this game. As far as the combat goes, yeah, definitely it's different. It's really different. There's a lot of auto battling here. Yeah. And I know there's a video on YouTube of some guy who... I'm too lazy to look him up right now, but he basically did a video asking the question of, can you get through Final Fantasy X by just mashing the confirm button? Because a lot of people would say, and like to rebuttal against Final Fantasy 13, they would say like, oh, you just press X, all you do is, or like press A, whatever, you just tap that and you win the game because it's all auto battle. No, you cannot. You will die fairly early on in the game if that's your tactic. Yeah. All of these switching paradigms and stuff, I really enjoyed that mechanic of it.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
It definitely makes you feel like you're on your toes with the battle. Like even though it's like auto, you feel like you're still making quick decisions.
Yeah, definitely.
And the what was it, the Crystarium, I found it to be very similar to a system like Final Fantasy X or Final Fantasy VII remakes, where you kind of just you gain enough like AP or C. I think they called it CP. Now that I'm thinking
they
about
did.
it.
Yeah, because I remember me and Cole did a dumb bit where we called CP cheese pizza. Yep.
But you know what CP is, right?
Crystal points, right? Something like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's child pornography.
Oh, Jesus! All right.
which is why I just realized it, that they called it CP. I'm like, oh god. No, they didn't.
I did not
register. I think Call of Duty. What is it? The big what is it? Battle Royale Call of Duty. There's I don't know. There's some sort of point system that they also call CP in there, and I'm like, guys, it's 2021. You can't have a system called CP in your game. Anyways, we're not able to be monetized yet, so I'm not worried about being demonetized by saying that. Anyways, that whole system where you just have to gain all of those points to eventually just unlock these predetermined abilities in your grid or whatever. Sure, it's simplistic, but I still enjoy that, and it's satisfying to watch the bar go up, until you finally unlock it. I don't know. This game was just very visually, and it stimulated all my senses.
Definitely. No, I get that.
So I really enjoyed this one.
Hell yeah, man. All right, well, moving on to number 6. So originally, my number 6 was Final Fantasy VI. Wow. But now, my number 6 is a game that you actually mentioned not too long ago. That is Final Fantasy X. Is my number 6, yes. The thing with that is, Final Fantasy X, I believe I beat last year for the first time, I think. If not, the year before that. I enjoyed it. The story was a lot of fun. The characters were cool. Yuna, Titus, Waka, Lulu, Auron.
Yep.
Oh, fuck the
Yojimbo.
Yojimbo, yeah. Gotta love him. I mean, all those characters were great.
Kamari? Wait,
Kamari.
Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, so
I'm trying to think of which character you were talking about. Riku?
Yeah, Riku, yeah. Yes, Riku, yeah, there we go. I mean, all those characters are great. I was just trying to remember the names of all the fucking characters.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, all the characters were great. The story was fun. I mean, yeah, sure, you can harp on the whole linear shit, which I get it, but it was fine for me. It was different. I didn't mind it too much. Yeah, it was great. The gameplay was a lot of fun. That's probably my main thing with it, of why I like it so much and why it's so high, was the gameplay. It's standard turn-based, but it did it very well, and stuff like that. The music is cool, too. Probably the thing that I like least about Final Fantasy X, for what I can remember, is the fact that, despite the fact that there's so many remasters of this game, you can't skip cutscenes.
On the PC version, you can.
Oh, finally, on the PC.
Only on the PC version.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But the fact that there's so many versions of that, and majority of them you can't skip a cutscene
exactly.
is stupid.
I hate that.
It's so stupid. But that's my main criticism of that game. Other than that, I enjoyed it. It was a good game.
Nice, man. Yeah, well, Final Fantasy X is also my number 6.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Look at us.
Finally, we're meeting somewhere here. We have somewhat similar tastes. So Final Fantasy X, man. Everything that you say, I completely echo all of that. I do like the story. I like the characters. I even like the voice acting. Come at me. And with the whole linear thing too. I mean, this game for me does beat out Final Fantasy 13 for me. But realistically, I mean, I think those two games can rightfully be compared to each other very regularly, because It was after this point people started complaining, oh, it's not what it used to be. And it's like, no, I mean, I guess it's kind of turning into its own thing now, and if it's going to be linear, I'm not going to object to it. I'll see what it has to offer, and if I like it, I like it. And I think Final Fantasy X did the linear storytelling of Final Fantasy the best.
Yeah, I agree.
It's very good, and I did play 10 Part 2 as well, and I considered that being an honorable mention as well. But I'm not a huge fan of 10 Part 2. I think it's
Dang
fun,
it.
but especially with the story, I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of the gameplay of 10-2, not a fan of the story. But yeah, I guess that's all of my, other than everything that you said about Final Fantasy X, that's all my other input.
Okay, cool. Well, then moving on to 5. We're at the halfway point. So originally, my number 5.
Oh, wait. My original number 5 was 12, the Zodiac Age. But like I had mentioned before, or sorry, not 5. My original number 6 was 12, the Zodiac Age.
Okay.
But like I had mentioned, I still have not beaten this game.
Yeah.
And at the time that I made the video, I just had not beaten it, but I played a huge portion of it and I really enjoyed it. So I was like, fuck it, I'm putting it as number 6. So anyways.
Hell yeah. Good shit. So originally my number 5 was Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn specifically. But now my number 5 is Final Fantasy XIV.
Nice.
Goddamn right, got him. So same thing with Gavin is like 10. Oh fuck!
Don't die.
I'm thinking about it.
Water, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a sip.
Okay, hold on. Quick water break. I'm gonna cut this part out. I'm gonna go grab some water. real quick before you continue. I walked out to go grab some water and saw my daughter was just up, just walking around, and I'm like, what the fuck? It's like it's like 2 hours past your bedtime. Okay, so Final Fantasy XIV.
Yes, Final Fantasy XIV is my number 5. Same thing with Gavin in the sense of like I technically haven't beaten this game, but I did beat a portion of this game because the Realm Reborn section has like 2 parts to it. It's the 7th Umbral era quests and the 7th Astral era quests is what makes up A Realm Reborn before you move on to Heaven's Ward. And I've beaten the first part, 7th Umbral era quests. And from what I've played, like the story is a lot of fun, really cool. Kind of hate how there's just a lot of text you got to read. But other than that, it looks great. Like things how I talked about with 13, how that looked pretty. Like Final Fantasy 14 looks fucking beautiful. I love that game. It's so beautiful, and the fact that like you're pretty much, the thing of you're making your own character living in the world of Final Fantasy and stuff like that. That's really fucking cool that you can do that. And like this game is probably honestly for me my favorite MMORPG that I've ever played. Like
absolutely
other MMOs, other MMOs I played. Like they're fun, but those games I get bored of way quicker than other regular JRPG games. But Realm Reborn, I can play that for a little bit longer. I'm a lot more engaged with that game. It's great. There's so many different things you can do, like so many different side quests and dungeons and stuff like that. And it's cool how like in later side dungeons they add a lot of nods to previous Final Fantasy games. Like you can literally fight previous bosses and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's really fucking
I've seen the Kefka battle.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, Realm Reborn is just a really fucking cool game. I mean, the other main thing that sucks is the fact that like you have to pay a monthly subscription to play it. So usually what I do is like whenever there's because sometimes they have a free campaign where you can play for a certain amount of hours and stuff like that. So I usually do that with Realm Reborn. And my plan is that there's a few Final Fantasy games mainland that I haven't played yet. So my plan is I want to beat those first and then save Final Fantasy XIV last and just focus solely on that game in terms of the story. Of beating that one. But yeah, that's my number 5, Realm Reborn.
Nice. Very, very cool. Yeah, I want to be there to that point too where I can focus all of my gaming energy just into that game. My number 5 is Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh!
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, man. Emo characters, dude. Dude, I am a sucker for melodrama.
Hell yeah.
Like whether it's music or movies or shows or video games, I'm a fan of the emo characters, man. I think it's so good. This game is obviously with, it goes without saying it has its flaws. And I think the combat and like the whole like progression and like really the easiest way to beat the game is by not fighting a single enemy. Yeah. The whole game. Anyways.
Yeah, I forgot about that. The fact that like leveling up is actually not a good thing.
Right. But it's like how else are you going to have like a good time doing it? you know? It's like I guess you could just go through the story and not fight anyone, but that's not fun. That's why you got to play it like it's a video game. Yeah, because for people to say like, oh, the game becomes really easy if you don't play it like it's a video game, it's like, yeah, but if you play it like it's a game, it's challenging and fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. It's kind of weird. I see why people have their gripes with it and all that, but ultimately for me, it's the love story. I don't know. I love the love story in this game. I know some people cringe at it, and yeah, it's cringy. Some of it definitely is, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. Especially those like that opening portion of the game whenever you're like really trying to figure out like what the fuck Squall's deal is, and like he's got this weird love triangle like with his teacher too. It's it's like some of it is kind of like, okay, yeah, I don't know. You just kind of have that like weird feeling about it.
No, I get it.
But then it just grows on you, and you're like, I love this so much. So for me, this is a part in my list where story definitely wins over gameplay for me.
Okay.
And my number 5 in my original video was also Final Fantasy VIII. So
there you go.
Yeah.
All right, now on to 4. So originally, my number 4 was Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced for the Game Boy Advance. But now, my number 4 is Final Fantasy IV.
Oh, yes. Really?
Yes.
I'm surprised that it's not like top 3 at least.
Nope. After thinking about it more, nah, not really. I mean, so for those that don't know, Final Fantasy IV is the first Final Fantasy game that I've ever played. Not necessarily beaten at the time, but then when I was going through my saga of playing all the Final Fantasy games in preparation for 15, when I got to 4, I don't know what it is about it, but I fell in love with the story for some reason. Like that, Final Fantasy IV is the one that I was the most engaged in with the story. But to be honest, as you were saying, Gavin, like, yeah, it is pretty simplistic, but I still enjoy it. Like you said, simplicity doesn't mean it's bad. Like, it depends on the way you execute it and stuff like that. And I think it did it well and stuff like that. But probably my main gripe of the story, not to spoil any or anything, like there's some stuff where like they sort of do these things where it's like, oh shit, this terrible stuff is happening, and then it's like, never mind, everything's fine later in the game. It's like, all right, cool.
I will say one of the parts in that story that actually did trigger some sort of emotional response from me was whenever Palom and Porum turn into stone.
Yeah, that's the main one that I was like, fuck, man.
Yeah, I felt it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, gotta love those kids. But yeah, Final Fantasy IV, I love that game. The combat, was the first one with the active time battle system, and that was a lot of cool. It's very engaging instead of just like everyone taking your turn. You sort of had to like think about what you're doing. Like, oh shit, I can't just like take my time. They're like attacking me as I'm thinking. I gotta fucking make it move quick. I love the characters: Cecil, Rydia, Yang, Tella. Fuck Tella. Actually, he's a fucking asshole. Yeah, all of them are great. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know. Final Fantasy IV just holds a special place in my heart, but I can admit that there are some games that I think are just objectively better. But I love Final Fantasy IV.
Nice. Yeah, so my original... this is number 4, right? Yeah.
Yes.
my original number 4 was Final Fantasy VI.
Oh.
And it got bumped down just a little bit. But that's because Well, actually, kind of the same situation in my video as well. But my number 4 is Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, classic, old school PlayStation 1. Emulated on the PlayStation 4 Final Fantasy VII.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I played this game for the first time fairly recently, and kind of like how Tyler Ims was saying with his experience, it's been hyped for years. Everyone has told me it's the greatest video game of all time. What did he say? The greatest thing since
sliced bread, something like that. Yeah.
It was something funny. He said it was the greatest thing since Reese's Puffs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a good game. I love this game a lot. It
good.
Was definitely overhyped,
100%.
especially if you come at it from the perspective of playing like almost all of the other Final Fantasy games, especially all the newer ones, and then going back to this one. Not that it's, not that like bad graphics are necessarily bad,
Yeah.
I've played plenty of, some of my favorite games of all time have shitty graphics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, visually, the game didn't really age very well. So the big thing here for me, again, with like some of these other ones too, it's the story, the characters, and the music. All of it is just so good.
Definitely.
I love all of the plot twists that happen in the game. And yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it later. But the story in this game is good. For anyone who is, I guess, upset about the whole remake situation and how the story is different, it's just kind of like, hey, well, at least you still have the amazing story of the original one that you can always go back to. I think it's always going to be available on everything modern. Like Square definitely wants people to remember the original Final Fantasy VII, and for a good reason, because it's fantastic. I love this game. This is so sits right here at my number 4.
Good shit. Okay, so
top three,
baby. So originally, my number 3 was Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age for PS4. But now my number 3 is Final Fantasy Tactics Advance for Game Boy Advance.
Nice.
I just love, because I said this with 6 of the sprite work, and I love the fucking sprite work of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. I think just sprite work of Game Boy Advance games in general, I love that era. That's one of the reasons why I love Mega Man Battle Network so much too, is I love the sprite work in that game. And also too, in terms of like turn-based combat and stuff like that, because this game is grid-based, and I enjoy grid-based systems a little bit more than traditional turn-based games. That's also one of the reasons why I love the Disgaea series, is that's literally what it is. It's a grid-based system game.
I'm still just so surprised that you have not played the OG Tactics.
I have played a little bit, but I haven't beaten it.
Right. Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah. No, because I mean, this was one of the first ones that I played. Like, I played Final Fantasy Tactics as a kid many, many times. Like, I remember playing the first 2 hours so many times as a kid, but the first time I ever beat it was last year for the first time. And I loved it. The story was great. It's very simplistic, again, because you're playing as, like, little kids in this, like, fantasy world. And Final Fantasy Tactics Advance takes place in sort of the world of Ivalice, like in 12. With, like, different...
and Vagrant story.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. It's all in the same world.
Tight. That's awesome. Yeah, I kind of appreciate that. Like, it's similar, but it also has a lot of new things to it. Because Ivalice is sort of more of like a deserty kind of world too, and stuff like that. The different summons, different races. Well, I mean, they add races, I should say. Sure. It's really cool. I don't know. I just really enjoy this game. The combat was a lot of fun. A lot of things you could do. I don't know. It was very peaceful and fun.
Nice, man. Yeah, I still have not finished Tactics yet, but once I do, I want to get through all the Tactics games, because
definitely
over time, same as you, I think I'm enjoying the grid base a lot more. I'm starting to appreciate it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my number 3, top 3.
Go, baby.
Number 3 for me is Final Fantasy 15.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. This was I just feel like my list is controversial. Like I got like the best one, the quote unquote best ones, like at the end, and I got like 13 and 15, like beating all that. Anyways, 15. Dude, 15's just fun, man. And the world is beautiful. Same thing with like 13. Like I can just listen to this soundtrack, just doing anything.
Definitely.
The music is so good. I have some issues. I mean, like it's not perfect, obviously.
Yeah.
No game really is. But like with the characters, and I just appreciate Noctis a lot as a character. Definitely. I like his design a lot. I like. I was hoping that it was gonna be, versus 13, and who knows? Maybe that'll still happen because Nomura is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But regardless of how it turned out, I think the story is interesting. Now that we have like this sort of complete version of the game, I more so want to go back and play through it all again now that there's like the Royal Edition and it's got every single piece of content that you can imagine attached to it. Man, Yoko Shimomura did the soundtrack to this game, so I talked about her a whole lot in our video game music episode. She did the soundtrack to Kingdom Hearts, like all of the Kingdom Hearts games, and Super Mario RPG. Like she's done a lot of stuff. She stayed in close connections to Tetsuya Nomura, who was originally going to be the director of this 15/versus 13 sort of world. And it was all kind of a part of this Fabula Novala Crystallis thing with the 13 series and Type O and all that.
Yeah.
And I like the world building here. I mean, it's a part of this sort of Final Fantasy mythos, but the world building in this game I think is top-notch stuff. It's tops, baby.
Tops.
Yeah, so I don't know. I really like the game. I like the action combat, even though I didn't even realize. Maybe I mentioned this maybe I mentioned this to you recently, but I did not even realize that you could attack enemies by just holding down the circle button the entire time. Whenever I played through the whole game, I just mashed the circle button because I thought it was like a Kingdom Hearts type button mashing kind of game. I didn't realize that it was as simplistic as just holding down a button.
No, yeah,
and
it is.
You like auto attack and auto dodge by doing that. So that's why I was so confused why people hated the combat initially, because I was like, why? It's fun. You can just like dodge. You can like dodge roll and stuff, and you just mash the circle button. It's like Kingdom Hearts. I love it. But now I see why people aren't fans of it. But nonetheless, I still love it. This is top 3 for me.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome. Now moving on to top 2. Ooh. Okay.
Number 2.
So originally, my number 2 was Final Fantasy IV.
Oh wait, real fast. My number 3 was the first Final Fantasy.
Oh wow, you used to be that high. Wow.
Yeah. Well, because like how you were saying, like Final Fantasy V for you used to be a lot higher for you.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of realized, well, I had a better time with these other ones.
Right, yeah.
So I think that's kind of where my decision making came for that one. Anyways.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, my number 2 originally was the Final Fantasy IV, the first main Final Fantasy game for me. But now my number 2 is Final Fantasy XII, The Zodiac Age.
Ooh.
The big thing for me with this game is the combat. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it a lot. The fact that you can especially in the newer version, you can get 2 different job classes together. You can do different combinations. Because I think what I did with Vaughn is I had him be like a samurai plus a time mage, which was a lot of fun. And the fact that you can do that is really cool. Different combinations. The story was interesting. It was neat. The fact that when you're playing the story, you realize, is Vaughn even the main character? They don't really focus on him a lot, which I mean is not terrible. It was interesting to think about and stuff like that, and the story was fine. I enjoyed it. I like the characters, and again, what I was saying with Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, the fact that it's in a different sort of realm of Ivalice and stuff like that, where I don't know, something about that I really like. That's one of the reasons why I love Final Fantasy in general, where each game does enough different to make it its own game, but also still has the same elements to be like, oh yeah, this is a Final Fantasy game. And the fact that 12 adds more to that by being in a different world with Ivalice and different summons and all these other races and stuff like that, I don't know, it was really cool to me. Yeah, I don't know, just the combat in 12 in terms of the other games that I talked about in this list, I just really enjoyed.
Nice.
And the Gambit system too, that's really fucking cool.
Gambit system is cool. I do like that a lot.
Yeah,
of the little that I have played of it, I've played maybe the first like 5 or 6 hours of it or so, but that's another one that I have to finish. I like you said, for me, from what I've played, combat was the big thing for me.
Definitely.
Okay, so my original number 2 was Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, okay.
My new my new number 2 is Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This was an incredibly fun game.
I agree.
I mean, sure, it's directed by Tetsuya Nomura. A lot of people just say, like, I'll even say it too, like, if you're a fan of Kingdom Hearts combat, you're going to love playing this game because it's a lot of that same system. But it's also very different, you know, because Final Fantasy VII gameplay and story rely heavily on materia as a concept. And the materia system in this game, I think I understood the materia system better through Remake than I did in the original 7. Yeah, and not that I don't know, maybe it's just because I didn't read good enough in the original 7. But just playing through this game was just such a freaking blast, man. The story is compiled of those like first like 3 hours of the original game, and they turn it into like a 30-hour experience. But they also I don't want to we'll try to keep this as spoiler free as possible, but if you've listened before, we've talked at length about these the thing about 7, but they are changing up a lot of the story stuff.
Yeah.
To the point where, though we're extremely excited about 7 Remake Part 2, I really have no idea what's going to happen.
Same,
you know? Yeah. They could do anything now. Now that they've exited Midgar, because this whole game it just takes place in Midgar. Now that they will be out of Midgar for Part 2 and onward, it's just like, what are they gonna do? Yeah. So I like the story for what it is. If you look at it as maybe a sequel to the original one, things start to maybe make sense a little bit more. If you look at it as a completely separate entity from the original 7, I think you'll be less upset about some sort of story changes. But as far as like those opening hours where you're going through like the Mako reactor, all of the little comparisons, it's such a faithful remake. It's like this beginning portion is such a good remake.
Yes.
And a lot of it is well remade as well. It was just so nice to see everything that you love about Midgar, like the whole wall market portion and the cross-dressing scene and the little mini games where you're lifting weights and all this stuff. There was a lot of attention to detail here, and I think anyone's entitled to their own opinion based on like where the story's going so far, but I don't think anyone can say that they don't care about this new series of Final Fantasy VII. They obviously care a lot about it. And I'm just excited to see where it goes. So yeah, definitely. Final Fantasy VII Remake right now is my second favorite Final Fantasy game.
Dang. Okay. Tight.
Yeah.
Well, Gavin, I gotta say, what you said about Final Fantasy VII Remake is exactly why Final Fantasy VII Remake, both on the original list and my new list, is my number 1 favorite Final Fantasy game of all time.
Nice. There you go.
I love the combat, and Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII in general, like the original one, was already pretty solid. Right. But for me, the remake just took that for the most part and made it so much better, like 10 times better in a lot of areas. The characters were great. The fact that they have voices now, a lot of so good. I feel like they've even added more personality to a lot of these characters too.
Yeah, I'd say so. I definitely even like Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like they were basically just throwaway characters in the original one, but now they have personalities.
Definitely. Fuck yeah. I mean, Jesse was a little horny, but that's all right.
Yeah, it's a little horny. That's weird.
But yeah, and like they just added a lot of they did a lot that was familiar and pretty much just like recaptured that experience of playing Final Fantasy VII for the first time, just enhancing that with, like you said, the Mako reactor and stuff like that, and how just it was really cool to see it from having played the original to playing the remake again, sort of comparing everything. It was a lot of cool, but I also loved not necessarily loved, more like appreciated the new stuff that they added. Now I know sort of the weird ghost people, that was
the ghosts.
Yeah, it was pretty controversial. Yeah, the Dementors. It's hard for me to know how I feel. I mean, I guess I can. Ghosts. Yeah, the plot ghosts. I can respect what they did, how they're sort of like trying to add some new stuff to it. I don't know. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I guess is what I'm trying to say with that.
Sure.
But yeah, no, it's just a really fucking solid game. I enjoyed every minute of 7 Remake that I played, and I love the fact that like there are a lot of portions where you played more with Aerith too, because I feel like, because I think in the original Final Fantasy VII you didn't really play, especially in the Mako portion, you didn't really play with Aerith too much. I don't think.
Yeah, in the Midgar. Yeah. Not
so
a whole
it's
lot,
cool that you get to be with her more often, which is cool and stuff like that. And yeah, the game just looks beautiful. It just looks great.
Yes,
I loved it.
Absolutely does.
Yeah, no, Final Fantasy VII Remake. For me, solid game.
Yeah. Best Final Fantasy for you right now?
Yep, right now, yeah.
Nice, man. Yeah, and just even more stuff with that. Like, all of the rearrangements of the music, so fucking good, man.
I agree.
I love the soundtrack. Well, my number one is the same as it's been since I first played this game, and the same that it's been in my old video. And that is Final Fantasy IX.
Oh!
Yeah, Final Fantasy IX for me, I really think is the best Final Fantasy game. It's just so good on so many levels. I think the characters really are the big shiny attraction here. I think that like the gameplay is fun, and I think they've used a lot of the mechanics of like. You gain an item, and then once you use that item, it's like equipped to your character enough. You obtain whatever ability comes with that item.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And just stuff like that. They kind of did something like that whenever they made Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. They had like same kind of gameplay mechanic in that same way, but from what I understand, I think it started here in Final Fantasy IX. I could be wrong about that. There could have been another game that started that trend before this one, but Vivi, I believe, is the best video game character ever made. Besides, like, well, I don't know, because I like Big Boss a lot. I'm a big Metal Gear Solid fan as well, but I would say Vivi is in my top 3 video game characters of all time.
Wow. Yeah, no, Vivi was great. He was.
I think if I were to just lay down right now my 3 favorite video game characters of all time, it's going to be in no particular order: Sora, Vivi, and Big Boss. Yeah.
One of those is not like the other.
Yeah, I know. I know.
But that's cool.
Vivi is so great. All of the music in this game, I don't think there's a single song in this game that I dislike, other than the fact that whenever me and you were playing through this game on Videoverse and your PlayStation background had the theme song.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da,
Oh no.
da, 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 yeah. Oh man. That did get old because that was just the only, because we would have so many breaks where we weren't recording and we'd be on the home screen, and it would just be that song on repeat for hours. We've probably listened to that song longer than we played Final Fantasy IX on the show.
Honestly, probably, yeah. Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah, Nobuo Uematsu really did pull out everything. Like, he pulled out all that he had at this point in time, and he put it all in this game, and the soundtrack is so good. This was the last one that Hironobu Sakaguchi worked on, and I really think that a big I guess reason why this game ended up hooking so many people and grabbing so many people's hearts was just the fact that since it was the last game that the creator would be working on, they incorporated so many references from Final Fantasy 1 through 8 up to this point. And even as a PlayStation 1 game, like, sure, you can play like the newer remasters and stuff, but if you bust out the PlayStation 1 version of this game, you'll see that it's probably one of the best looking PS1 games ever made. Like, it came out right as like the PlayStation 2 was happening too, so it's one of the later PlayStation 1 games. So graphically, even though I know people had issues with the non-realistic depictions of characters and locations and stuff, but I think visually it holds up way better than Final Fantasy 7 or 8.
Oh, 100%. That game looks great.
Yeah, it's like it's an art style thing people weren't a fan of, but I think visually speaking, like, what I would rather look at, I would much rather look at the original Final Fantasy 9 than the original Final Fantasy 7 or 8.
Yeah, definitely. No, it is a huge improvement from each game.
Yeah,
in terms of art style.
Yeah, but anyways, Final Fantasy 9, I love playing this game. I've beaten this game either 2 or 3 times total. I'm doing another playthrough right now just on my own with the PC version. There's a mod called the Mogiri mod, which basically takes the modern port that came out like on PS4 and PC and Xbox and all that, and they took all of the pre-rendered backgrounds and completely upscaled everything to be like 4K resolution, and that you can change the text to look more like the PlayStation 1, like sort of like pixel text and all that. All of it just looks really clean. It makes it look less like a mobile game because the mobile version got the same port. Anyways, if you do plan on playing this game, I highly recommend playing the PC version with the Mogiri mod. It makes it look beautiful and good.
Sweet.
But yeah, that's gonna do it. So real fast, DJ, give me your top 10. Just go down the list.
Okay, my top 10 are Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 10, Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced, Final Fantasy 12, and Final Fantasy 7 Remake.
Nice, solid. That's DJ's top 10. My top 10 goes Final Fantasy, the first one, Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 10, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, and Final Fantasy 9 at number 1. And my honorable mentions were 14, Crisis Core, and Theatrhythm.
Well, Gavin, there's one question that I want to ask you real quick before we started winding down.
Sure.
What's the next Final Fantasy game you would like to beat?
Like starting from the beginning.
Yeah.
And just like have not played it.
Yeah.
I think for me right now, it's a toss-up between 5 and Tactics.
Okay.
I mean, 14 I think is a given, but it's also just such a commitment.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's between 5 and Tactics.
Okay, cool.
What about you?
So for me, I'm sort of already have them listed out, and what I'm doing is I only have just 4. I'm focusing on just the mainline games first, and then I plan to focus on the spin-offs and stuff like that, or the sequels and stuff like that. Right. So the next Final Fantasy game that I know for a fact that I want to play is Final Fantasy 15.
That's right.
Yeah,
I forget that you have not played that game.
No, I have,
Or
but only like
sorry,
the
you've
first
not beaten
3
it.
chapters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I've only
do
been
you
like.
have the do you have like all of the Royal Edition
do.
DLC?
I do, yes.
Nice.
So I'm good to go for that. But yeah, Final Fantasy 15 will be the next one that I want to beat. And then after that will be Final Fantasy 9. And then after that will be Final Fantasy 2. And then once I beat Final Fantasy 2, I will focus primarily on Final Fantasy 14.
Which 2 are you going to play?
Probably. Well, I mean, I know the PSP version is the definitive one, but I don't have an easy
most content, I think.
Yeah, I don't have an easy way to get to that, so I was just gonna do the Game Boy Advance version. That's the one that I played originally, which honestly I was very close to beating that game because I played it, like I said, a long time ago, preparing for Final Fantasy 15. I got to like the second to last level of that game, but for some reason, because in previous Final Fantasy games, you have your airship and it has to land on like solid ground in order for you to be able to like move on the world or whatever. And in 2, there's a portion to where you have to land on like the some like medieval castle or whatever in order to advance through the stage. And for some reason, no matter what I did, I just couldn't land on the castle that I was supposed to be on. So I just said, fuck it, I'm done with Final Fantasy 2.
Man. All right, right on.
Yeah.
I will say I'm not like a fan of like mobile games, like games that are, you know, better for having button layouts and stuff. I'm not a fan of playing those on mobile stuff. But I don't know if you you know, you could get it on PC too, or like on your laptop because it's not super powerful. But Final Fantasy 2 Pixel Remaster, I would say is worth the price alone for the soundtrack.
Okay.
Because say what you want about all of like the Pixel Remaster stuff, the music in all of the Pixel Remaster games have the definitive versions of all of their soundtracks so far over all of their like original releases.
Okay.
Like, and it's all like headed by Nobuo Uematsu. Like he rearranged all of these himself. So like these are brand new versions of these tracks, and they are so fucking good. They're so good.
Okay,
They're so
well, tight. You know what? Yeah, I will do that. I will play the Pixel Remaster of Final Fantasy 2. Because I mean, nice. I did play it on my computer, like the emulated GBA version. I played it on my computer.
Yeah. Two, like the Pixel Remaster should not be very like graphic intensive, because I know you don't have like a big gaming PC or anything. Yeah, no, your computer should absolutely be able to run it.
Okay, tight.
Though I will say, if you want just like the best version, it's the PSP version.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, cool. Right on. Oh, we didn't. Let's see. What should we do for maybe a question of the week?
I have no clue.
We could just make it easy.
Well, actually,
we might not get a bunch of ones, but wait, were you gonna suggest something?
Yeah, I had an idea. I don't know if we've done this before, but I was thinking like maybe we could ask because we sort of talked about this earlier in the podcast, is like, what's a game franchise that you haven't got into that you want to get into? I don't know if we've asked that before.
I think that was what did we play? Oh, a game franchise. Okay, I don't think we did actually. I'm looking through them. Yeah, I don't think we have done that one. Yeah. Nice. Okay, let's do it. What is a video game franchise that you've been wanting to start, but you have not gotten into it yet? Or maybe you have started it and you're like your toes are just barely in the water. You're trying to get sucked into it.
Right.
What game are you trying to play? What game series are you trying to get into?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's the new question of the week. I'll be sure to put that in the Discord for everyone over there. If you're listening and you're not a part of the Discord, join the Discord. You can also answer the question of the week via the YouTube video as well if you're watching this on YouTube. Hello, everyone. Yeah, so I guess just some other housekeeping stuff other than just joining the Discord. That's where you can it's kind of just our little community of people who listen to our podcast, and we do question of the week stuff over there. I recently shared one of DJ's newer videos in our anime and manga, what do they call them? Channels?
Yeah, something like that. Which, thank you for that. I just saw that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I just, I saw that there and was just kind of like, man, why, not like, why are these channels inactive? But I kind of thought like, there's definitely some stuff that can be talked about in some of these channels. I might as well just try to start some sort of conversation. So DJ, obviously you can plug your channel here in a second, but I did share one of your videos in the channel, and we got a few comments on that just in our Discord, just talking about some of our members' love of anime and One Piece in general. So yeah. It's cool over there. So if you're a fan of all that sort of stuff, I mean, our Discord is the place to be. And like I said, too, you can email us and you can comment on our YouTube videos and stuff. Other than that, we also have, you can follow Overleveled Games on Twitter. That is at OverleveledCast. All that should be on this the screen as well. I do Twitch streaming as well. That is twitch.tv/gavdod. All of that should be on the screen as well, and in the description. Everything that I'm plugging right now, all of this will be in the description. But we also have a Patreon as well, just kind of that optional if this is how you feel that you can best support us in that way. That's totally fine, not required, but that's there for you if you're someone who likes to give in that way. Let's see, was there anything else other than you plugging yourself?
Okay. Hello, I'm DJ, and I have my own personal channel called Mushroom Man. It is a comedic review channel where I talk about and make fun of different movies, games, and anime. But I also do some other small different things too to sort of change it up and stuff like that regarding one of those topics. And I also have my own podcast, which is anime as well, called the Ramen Stand Podcast. Just pretty much like a podcast where we talk about anime and stuff like that. We do a thing where we sort of one of the things we're currently doing is every other episode we're reviewing each part of JoJo in preparation for JoJo Part 6, which is supposed to air later this year. So That's one thing that we're doing.
And episode 100, not episode 100. If DJ's podcast channel gets 100 subscribers,
yes,
wow, episode 100 would be
yes.
so.
Oh, that would be insane.
If you get to, let's say it takes a long time, and I'm not putting this on you, but let's say it takes a little while to get to 100 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Let's say you get to 69 before then. I think 69
you know what? Maybe, yeah.
Should be the hentai episode.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I kind of like that. I'll talk to them about that. Either like 69 subs or 100 subs or something like that, or the 69th episode. I don't know. But yeah, nice. If we make it to 100 subs, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about hentai. That's the original plan.
Every time. Okay, so it's got to be whenever you've reached episode 69, or you could also have another hentai episode whenever you get 69 subscribers.
Oh, that's
and
true.
You could also do a hentai episode when you get 100 subscribers.
There we go.
Just have all these milestones for different excuses to do a hentai episode.
Goddamn right. There you go. So if you want that to happen, there you go. Those are the achievements. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me in terms of promotion.
Also, do you think you will eventually change your name? I know you've talked about it.
I'm
in the past,
from Mushroom Man to Mushy Squishy, probably, maybe.
Okay.
Because for those that don't know, originally my channel name was Mushy Squishy, but at the time I was so small that if you look it up, you just find a bunch of random kid shit.
Yeah, kid channels and shit.
Yeah. So I changed it to Mushroom Man to make it more easily searchable. And actually, recently I just checked, and I think I am now the biggest channel named Mushroom Man. I say biggest in quotes, like. I'm big, but like there's, not that big. But
you've been the biggest one called Mushroom Man.
Actually, no. Recently, like earlier this month, I found another channel that was a few subscribers bigger than mine, but they've been inactive for years.
Really?
But they technically were bigger than me. But now I'm bigger than them, which is cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm the biggest channel named Mushroom Man, which is cool, I guess. And maybe in the future I'll change it back to Mushy Squishy because I like that name better personally.
Speaking of names that are taken by other people, there's already a podcast called the Overleveled Podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but they let's see. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, they did like a Nintendo Direct podcast kind of recently. Anyways, they're like on episode 120.
Okay.
So hey, but we're different, okay?
We're different. Yeah, we're different.
We're the Overleveled RPG news and review podcast.
Yeah.
So
let's fucking get them on.
anyways.
Let's get them on an episode.
Yeah, dude. So what's it like being a lesser overleveled?
How you feel
JK.
being the worst? No, I was playing.
Being pieces of shit. Just kidding. Yeah. So okay, that is all of our plugs. Thank you guys again for listening. This is our longest episode yet.
Yeah, I know.
Easily. We've been
2
recording
hours,
for over
baby.
2 hours now. Yeah, it is 21 minutes past my bedtime. I do not think my wife anticipated this.
Oh,
That's okay. Thank you everyone for listening again. All of those plugs, everything is linked down below.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, DJ, for doing this with me. I think
No problem, man.
we discussed doing this kind of thing fairly soon as well. We want to do more sort of like top 10 sort of stuff. I think they bring about good discussion.
definitely.
So pretty soon we're going to start doing it won't be like episode after episode after episode, but we're going to kind of go through like console generations and talk about just some of our favorite RPGs/JRPGs up through current things as well.
Yeah.
So look out for episodes like that. That's something that you can expect fairly soon. Other than that, I think that's it. DJ,
Yeah.
hit him with it.
When you don't watch Gavin's Twitch channel, you become a little bitch.
That's fucking right. Bye-bye.